fun.
Charlemagne the devil?
Possibly. The Breakfast Club.
Yes, Donkey of the Day for Wednesday, September 13th goes out to ESPN. Oh, I watch ESPN all the time. I've appeared on various shows on ESPN. I love Around the Horn. I love PTI. I love The Six with Michael Smith and Jemele Hill. I love Coast to Coast with Carrie Champion. I rock with ESPN. But yesterday, ESPN did something I thought was stupid. And Donkey of the Day is all about giving people the credit they deserve for being stupid. So here we go. Now, on 9/11, the great Jemele Hill had a series of tweets. In fact, drop one of Clues Bombs for Jemele Hill before we continue on. Okay? Jemele had a series of tweets about our current celebrity-in-chief, Donald Trump. I honestly don't know what prompted these tweets because I didn't dig too deep, simply because when I initially read these tweets, I didn't think anything of them because they weren't anything new. They weren't anything I hadn't heard about the celebrity-in-chief before. Let me read a few. Okay, Jemele Hill tweeted out, "Trump is the most ignorant, offensive president of my lifetime. His rise is a direct result of white supremacy, period." Where the lotto? Jemele tweeted, "He is unqualified and unfit to be president. He is not a leader, and if he were not white, he would never have been elected." Where the lotto? Jemele said on Twitter, "Donald Trump is empowered white supremacist." Somebody please stop Jemele when she stops speaking the truth. I haven't heard a lie yet. Jemele also tweeted, "Donald Trump is a bigot. Glad you could live with voting for him. I couldn't because I cared about more than just myself. And let's end with this doozy from Jemele Hill. Donald Trump is a white supremacist who has largely surrounded himself with other white supremacists." Now, nothing that was said by Jemele Hill is new. It's been said before by many people, and it's not a false narrative at all. If you was to poll a large part of the country, they would feel the exact same way as Jemele Hill does. But ESPN issued a statement on Jemele Hill, and they said the comments on Twitter from Jemele Hill regarding the president do not represent the position of ESPN. We have addressed this with Jemele, and she recognizes her actions were inappropriate. Well, I have two questions, ESPN. Number one, what exactly is your position on our current celebrity-in-chief, Donald Trump? I would love to know. I'm dying to know, because if you're not against what Trump represents, then you must be for what Trump represents. And if you're for what Trump represents, let me know so I can take my viewership somewhere else. Now, ESPN, you say you recognize Jemele's actions were inappropriate. What was inappropriate? Telling the truth about someone being inappropriate is inappropriate? I know it's people out there listening to the radio right now mad at me. Stop talking about Trump. He's not inappropriate. He's not ignorant. He's not offensive. Okay, well, let me remind you all some of his most inappropriate, offensive moments. We put together a little montage. Start with the offensive things first.
She gets out and she starts asking me all sorts of ridiculous questions. And, you know, you could see there was blood coming out of her eyes, blood coming out of her wherever.
Our current president came out of nowhere. In fact, I'll go a step further. The people that went to school with him, they don't even know, they never saw him. They don't know who he is.
The state of Hawaii says this is official. He was born in Hawaii on this date. Here it is. Why do you deny that?
A lot of people do not think it was an authentic certificate.
I've said that if Ivanka weren't my daughter, perhaps I'd be dating her. You know?
You know, I'm automatically attracted to beautiful. I just start kissing them. It's like a magnet. You just kiss. I don't even wait. And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything.
Whatever you want.
Grab them by the.
Now, I know Trump supporters are still in denial about their president. Either that or they agree with him because they're just like him. Now, there's people out there saying Jemele called him a white supremacist. Jemele called him a bigot. How dare she? Well, how dare your president say and do things that lead people to be able to make those kind of allegations? Would you like to hear some reasons why people think Trump is a white supremacist and bigot? Well, sit back, grab a drink, and just pay attention.
If you are saying he can't do his job because of his race, is that not the definition of racism?
No, I don't think so at all. Look, he's proud of his heritage, okay? He's a Mexican. We're building a wall between here and Mexico. He is giving us very unfair rulings.
If it were a Muslim judge, would you also feel like they wouldn't be able to treat you fairly because of that policy of yours?
It's possible, yes. Yeah, that would be possible, absolutely.
Isn't there sort of a tradition, though, in America that we don't judge people by who their parents were, where they came from?
I'm not talking about tradition. I'm talking about common sense, okay?
Donald J. Trump is calling for a total and complete shutdown of Muslims entering the United States.
When Mexico sends its people, they're not sending their best. They're not sending you.
Yeah.
They're sending people that have lots of problems, and they're bringing those problems with us. They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists.
Okay, who's next? Yeah, please. Excuse me, sit down. You weren't called. Sit down. Sit down. Go back to Univision.
Trump retweeted a racially charged graphic that overstates homicides committed by African Americans.
Trump retweeted a tweet showing a swastika next to the Bush family.
The tweet also included Jeb in a mariachi outfit.
Trump retweeted someone who claims to live in Jemele.
He said you wouldn't have even let his son in America.
He doesn't know. He doesn't know that. I saw him. He was very emotional and probably looked like a nice guy to me. His wife, if you look at his wife, she was standing there. She had nothing to say. Maybe she wasn't allowed to have anything to say.
Former KKK Grand Wizard David Duke recently said that voting against you at this point would be treason to your heritage. Would you just say unequivocally you condemn them and you don't want their support?
Well, I have to look at the group. I mean, I don't know what group you're talking about. You wouldn't want me to condemn a group that I know nothing about. I'd have to look.
We condemn in the strongest possible terms this egregious display of hatred, bigotry, and violence on many sides.
Number one, it just keeps going.
The least
anti-Semitic person
please,
you've ever
keep
seen
going.
in your Listen, if you can listen to all of that and come to the defense of Donald Trump in any way, shape, or form, something is wrong with you. So once again, what was inappropriate about Jemele's tweets? She called him a white supremacist, a bigot. What bugs me out is people who are more offended by the rhetoric of Jemele Hill than they are the rhetoric of Donald Trump. If you don't want to be labeled a bigot or a white supremacist, then don't talk like one. Don't act like one. It's just that simple. If it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, then it's probably a crack-ass cracker, white devil, white supremacist, bigoted ass duck. Okay? Here's the thing, and this goes for ESPN and whoever chooses to defend Donald Trump, because that's what you're doing in this situation, defending Donald Trump. Right now, the soul of the country is at stake. It's not about conservative or liberal. It's not about Republican or Democrat. It's about right versus wrong, good versus evil, God versus Satan. When it's all said and done, you want to be on the right side of history. We know which side Jemele Hill is on. She's fighting a good fight. But ESPN, what side are you on? Please give ESPN the biggest hee-haw, please. Oh, one more thing. Remember when Donald, they've always given Donald Trump a out and always asked him to like backtrack. Does he wholeheartedly agree with the things he says? Remember this?
Would you take any of that back or rephrase any of it if you could?
No, because it's totally accurate, and you should have let it play a little bit longer because it really covers it.
Okay. Just saying.